old Nintendo gamer.
And son.
Greg, 2.5 months off. You must have a hell of a backlog to talk about there. But personally, myself, I'm going to keep mine short and say, I played this, this is how I feel, because otherwise I could be talking for a full hour, I think. Greg, what have you been up to?
Quite a few things, I suppose. Like, I actually couldn't really remember what games I had beat in the hiatus. I can't even remember what the last game was I talked about on the previous podcast. I know I have played Turtles in Time on the SNES for the first time since then. I don't think I spoke about it before. It was just alright.
No, you haven't.
I didn't really get the big hype around it. It's fine. I imagine back at the time it would have been great, but it's just alright. Played through it once and that was it. It's just okay.
I just looked back on episode 69, Greg. The last game you talked about was Bowser's Fury, the expansion pass for the expansion bit of Super Mario 3D World.
Yeah, I definitely finished that, and it wasn't that great. It was just alright. I finished 3D World, and since then as well, I think. So, yeah, it was a much better part of the game. Downloaded Ghost Runner at one point. I think it was about £6 something on the eShop, and I got it kind of because I sort of had a pretty decent time with Mirror's Edge on the Xbox 360 about a decade ago, and it sort of had similar vibes, the way you sort of run along the walls and first person and stuff. It was pretty challenging game. There's lots of checkpoints and stuff, but it was actually okay. It was worth going through, actually, particularly at that price. Couple of performance issues, I suppose. It glitched on me a couple of times, which was frustrating, but like I say, because there's so many checkpoints, it didn't really matter too much. It's not the sort of game I can actually imagine myself going through again, because it feels like sort of just a one and done type thing, and I don't think I'd be particularly excited for a sequel as well, but I'm glad I got it. I had a decent amount of time with it, and it was grand. I'm only kind of looking through my list of games that I can remember beating because I tweeted about some of them, and I looked through my Twitter feed this morning. Star Fox 2 was one that I blasted through in probably about half an hour one night. I imagine I didn't see even a quarter of what the game has to offer, really, because I imagine there's different routes and different ways to do things, and you know what? It was crap. It would probably have been cool back at the time, but for me, the best things about the Star Fox games, and particularly Lilac Wars, is the on rails levels where you're going from you can improve your scores and find different paths and stuff. Whenever things go to all range, I mean, it's fine, but those aren't the best parts of the game, and Star Fox 2 is all about the all range, and it didn't really work for me, and because it's an old SNES game, and one that wasn't even released, and I can kind of see why it maybe wasn't released, and they concentrated on the N64 version. It's very slow, and yeah, it's not that entertaining. I wouldn't really recommend it. It's cool that I was able to play it because it wasn't released before, but I wouldn't have been that bored if it had never seen the light of day, I don't think. Played through Wave Race Blue Storm again.
Hey.
Yeah, probably the highlight of my year so far, I would say. And while I had the GameCube on, also played through the expert mode of Super Monkey Ball as well, which I haven't done for quite a long time. And I used to have it all complete. I think there's master levels and stuff which I'd never ever seen, and I never ever will see because the game is very difficult. But I had a save file with everything done, and it all disappeared. I think I'd lost the data probably a good 10 or 15 years ago. So I sort of had to build up my infinite continues again, because that's the only way I was ever going to get through the expert mode. But I actually had a really good time with it. It's just just showed how good Monkey Ball can be before they ruined it. Pretty much immediately with the sequel, which everybody absolutely seems to love, but it itself introduced some like gimmicks such as like the play and rewinds buttons and all that sort of stuff, and it had more levels that were sort of like felt luck based rather than like proper skill. It's just, yeah, this was the absolute pinnacle of the series, and I enjoyed my time with it as well. And the only other Nintendo game I want to really talk about would be Luigi's Mansion 3, which I finished. Yeah, it's done. It's like
right over there on Discord, 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10, yeah.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, stand by that. Like it's a good game. It's very, very slow paced, and I think it's sort of like described it as like plotty suck because it seems very like slow paced, and just like you're pretty much just vacuuming everything just to see if like money pops out, and the money doesn't really do that much. Like the only thing I really used it for was to buy those gold bones to like revive myself, and like even then I didn't really need those on that many occasions. Like I can appreciate what the game does, like is like there's a lot of things to like about it, and the graphics are like fantastic and stuff, but yeah, I think I just found it a wee bit boring in the end, which is unfortunate. And I think that was probably part of that was just like constantly interrupting my play with it, because I maybe like do a floor and then I wouldn't return to the game for a few weeks, and then I'd do another floor and come back. So I never really got going with it, I suppose, until the last weekend where I sort of played through the last few floors. But by that time I felt like I was just trying to get to the end just to get it off the list, really. Yeah, again, like while the first game would be one that I think I could see myself returning to quite a few times, again, I don't actually think I'll be back to Luigi's Mansion 3, and that's like I haven't even collected all the gems or anything. It's not really that appealing. I never did that in Luigi's Mansion 2 either, so yeah, it's a shame, really. Yeah, that's probably
it is a long game as well, isn't it, for what it's attempting to do. You know, like Luigi's Mansion 1, yes, you can go back to that, 2-3 hours is done. This one, I had the same problem toward the end. You know, the last 3 or 4 floors especially, it dragged on. It was just too long of an experience.
Definitely a bit of a drag, especially when you'd do a floor and then you'd get the button for the next floor of the elevator, and the Polter Kitty would come along and steal it, and you'd have to go faffing around to try and find her. But yeah, that's pretty much it on the Nintendo front.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a like if you've enjoyed our content. You can also check out our other great content on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the N-E Café podcast from all good podcast providers. Just follow the links in the description below.